Well, away from politics, 29th of April 2016, a 6-story building collapsed in Huruma, killing 51 people and devastating more than 100 families. 1 year later, what have we learnt? We revisit the story of Dealeryn Saisi Wasike, the baby who survived, and Susan Awiti, who perished on her birthday with 6 of her family members. Here's Dorcas Wangira with that special feature.
"29th April is a date frozen in time for Huruma. Following heavy rainfall, a 6-story building collapsed. By the 4th day of the rescue operations, 20 lives had been lost and tens of people could not be accounted for. But beneath the rubble, the discovery of a 7-month-old baby wrapped in a blanket and sitting still in a basin was a breakthrough. Dealeryn Saisi Wasike had survived, but she had lost her mother, Eunice Bosibori. Doctors at the Kenyatta National Hospital could not explain how for so long. It took her father, Reliving Wasike Saisi, 3 weeks to claim her back.
Lazima uvumilie. Nisingevumilia, huenda hii ingepatikana. Ama ingepatikana kama mimi mwenyewe siko. At the moment nilifika, nikaita tu mama. Mtoto aliitika na akabeba mkono. Mpaka madaktari wenye walikuwa pale, they didn't believe kama huyu mtoto ako na miezi 6 na amejua babake. Tupige story unapigaga tena imekuwa.
A year later, Dealeryn clings to her father. She bears scars from the tragedy but very little memories. She now lives with her grandmother, still in Huruma. Ralson, who had moved to his own home nearby, is finding it difficult to earn a living and still take care of her. He's unemployed.
Hajai sumbua kama anahitaji mama, hajai sumbua kama anahitaji kunyonya, licha ya kwamba venye aliachwa na huo umri wa kunyonya. Baada ya tragedy kufanyika mpaka wa saizi, there are so many things that zimefanyika, but sio zile positive kwa maisha, ni zile negative. Sababu maisha pia imekuwa ngumu kidogo, si kama vile ambavyo mtu anafaa akae kawaida.
She hardly responds to her own name. Everyone calls her Magi, her paternal grandmother's name. Very few of her neighbors know her story. After the 9-day rescue mission conducted by the National Disaster Management Unit, the Kenya Red Cross and the Nairobi County Government, the national government disbursed 6 million shillings to resettle victims who had been seeking shelter at the Huruma Social Hall and help them restart their lives. Ralson says he received 50,000 to bury his late wife, but that was all. He, like many other victims, lost important documents, including national ID cards, school certificates that are necessary to rebuild their lives.
Katika ile hali ya kupanda na kushuka, lazima mtu ufanye nini? Utapitia magumu na mepesi. Sasa wale wenye maybe hawajapitia na siku moja watapitia, wajifunze tu kwa hii.
Susan Awiti and 6 of her relatives died on that fateful Friday. She lived in house number 37. Hakim Rose Okello in house 41. Belinda Akinyi Okello had come to visit with her 3 children and another relative, Francis Okello. It was Susan's 44th birthday. She is survived by her son, Justus Awiti. Last year, we met her brother, John Awiti. He was devastated.
Fanyika imefanyika. Lazima tupokea vile because ni uwezo ni Mwenyezi Mungu.
We met her elder sister Eunice in the outskirts of Huruma. The memories of the tragedy are still fresh.
Hiyo chungu hata sasa bado haijatokea kwa roho yangu sana. Na stuka nikiona vile nilimpata huko muchari, niliogopa sana. Hata kuona watoto vile walibondeka, nilistuka sana.
On 29th April 2016, a 6-story building collapsed here in Huruma, killing 51 people. Months later, in August, more buildings would come down. What has changed? What has remained the same? There are stark reminders of the tragedy on the exact site it took place. The river still flows. This tragedy, the National Construction Authority maintains, could have been avoided. The building had been condemned by the NCA as unsafe for human habitation.
After the suspension, or even after people being informed to get out of the building, and unfortunately still we had people on the building. You know that with the challenges of housing, one, of course, tenants would still want to move into either one, cheap houses, and two, landlords would not want to bring down their buildings because of maybe the investments they are put on.
The NCA can only intervene at and during the time of construction. After, the National Buildings Inspectorate and the county government have a greater responsibility to bring down any unworthy structures. Agencies like NEMA and WARMA also play an important role. Many buildings are built on riparian areas, on wetlands, but the lack of capacity and legal muscle to ensure compliance has had a heavy human and economic cost. 144 fatalities have since been recorded in the last 20 years from building collapses.
After Huruma, we have inspected or audited almost 5,000 buildings. To be exact, it's 4,690. Of those buildings, as of now, 35 have been demolished. Of course, we have faced challenges from the owners of the buildings and even from the public, those who live in those areas. The reason, of course, being for the owners is they have made investments and they were allowed to do, as they claim, they were allowed to do their buildings. So they have rushed to courts. We have court injunctions. Those are challenges that we are facing. But definitely, we have to bring down the buildings that have to be brought down.
May 1996, Sunbeam Supermarket on Moi Avenue, Nairobi collapsed after a heavy downpour, killing 16. In 2006, a building in Ronald Ngala collapsed, killing 14. In September 2011 in Vihiga, a building collapsed, killing 4. More incidents were reported in Mlolongo, Kaloleni, Lenana Road, Roysambo, and at a mosque in South B. On January the 4th, 2015 in Huruma, a 7-story building collapsed, killing 5 and injuring 32. Tragedy would befall a year later. Still in Huruma, the worst ever recorded.
Saizi hata wasio wengi wanaogopa kuhamia kwa zile nyumba mpya. Wanaogopa. Sasa mtu anafaa anaangalia nyumba kama hii, unaona hii imechapa hii. Anafaa anaingia hapo at least akuwe safe. Kuna wenye wanahamia kwa hizi nyumba ndogo hizi, at least wanaogopa zile nyumba kubwa sasa hizi.
A government audit by the Buildings Inspectorate in 2016 revealed that of 2,260 buildings evaluated in Nairobi alone, only 884 were considered safe for stay. According to the Nairobi Lands Executive, Christopher Haemba, only 41 of the 2,000 buildings earmarked for demolition have been flattened. The exercise, he says, is stalled because of court injunctions and political interference. The 1 million shillings a day exercise is also seen as too expensive for the country. The NCA's further inspection of 4,690 houses suggests that residents of Huruma, Pipeline, Umoja, Thika Road and Dagoretti, among other areas, are living in death traps. Buildings built with poor quality materials, buildings not approved by the NCA, are bound to collapse.
As a layman, it's good to get into a building that you feel is safe. And the other critical thing is, if possible, ask from the owner of the building to avail to you all the necessary approvals. Ask and require to get approvals from the county government, approvals from NEMA, approvals from National Construction Authority. Last but not least, get an occupation certificate. Get a copy of an occupation certificate that the building has gone through all the processes and is certified for occupation.
Even though 35 buildings have come down in Huruma so far since, from the intended 58, there are still death traps that stalk here. 1 year later,
kulingana na akili za Kikenya, watu washasahau. Watu washasahau. Hata unaweza shangaa, unaweza enda mahali mkasa wenyewe ulifanyikia, upate kuna mtu ashajenga nyumba hapo.
Wale wanajenga manyumba wajaribu wajenge nyumba hali mzuri, mtu hata akihisi asifikirie ati nyumba anaweza kuanguka tena, kwa maana hii story imebaki hapa Huruma, mtu hawezi sahau. Mtu hawezi sahau kabisa.
They have gleaned public lessons from personal tragedy. Whether or not we have learned from Huruma will be revealed if and whether there will be another tragedy of this magnitude. Dorcas Wangira, KTN News, Nairobi.